Hi guys, and welcome to the Lincoln City vs Sunderland match review. So last night Sunderland did get away with a 2-1 victory away from home at Lincoln City in the Papa John's Trophy. So of course it was our first game of the group stage in the competition. And don't get me wrong, when I first saw the lineup, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know what I'm about to say. When I first saw the lineup, I didn't have a mass amount of confidence, and I do still understand why I would have that kind of sort of scepticism when I did see the lineup, because Lincoln had almost an entire first team squad. Maybe not their entire strongest squad, but it was all first team. It was nearly there. It was nearly their strongest squad. Whereas we put out sort of half the team was youngsters and half the team were fringe players that just needed minutes from the first team that don't really play in our first team. So, you know, I think I can forgive myself for thinking that maybe things could go wrong, because I did think to myself, I feel like Lee Johnson shot himself in the foot here. You know, we've just took a battering off Pompey the weekend before, and he's going to shoot himself in the foot, and he's almost sort of single-handedly made us or put us under that kind of pressure again, and I felt like it could happen again. But my God, was I wrong. The youngsters absolutely blew me away. They were absolutely fantastic. I've got to give it to him. 2-1 win, of course. But if we get into the game, we had Burge starting in goal. We had Hume making his return at left back. Right back, we had Richardson. Then in the middle, we had Younger with Alves. Then in the centre midfield, we had Dhannoo and Sona. I'm not too sure how you pronounce his name. Then the three behind the striker, we did have O'Brien, we had Pritchard, and we had Taylor. And then up top, we had the young lad Harris as well, making his first start for the club in a competitive competition, of course. He scored a hat-trick, I think it was last week, for the under-23s. A brilliant hat-trick as well, which I've seen. Fantastic. So he deserved his call-up to the squad. It was a good opportunity for him. Then 2 minutes into the game, and Dan Neil, I swear to God, and I said this on Twitter as well, I swear to God, if Dan Neil at any point is put on the bench for the remainder of the season, we riot. We absolutely riot, because let me just say now, 2 minutes in, you know, O'Brien gets it on the left-hand side. It actually starts off with Dan Neil, who pings it over, inch perfect to O'Brien on the left-hand side. O'Brien cuts in from left to right, gives it to Dan Neil. He's 25 yards out, 30 yards out. He's absolutely pinged it into the top right-hand corner. He's on the sort of left-hand side of the pitch, and he's pinged it, and it kind of swerved from left to right into the far corner. It's a gorgeous strike, absolutely gorgeous strike. 1-0. And even, you know, since the goal, a couple of minutes in, we managed to maintain possession. We're controlling it really well. Quick 1-2 passing. The youngsters were just absolutely showing this Lincoln side up. You know, we had Chris Maguire, of course, former Sunderland player. And there was a couple of nice sounds, of course, even though I have so much respect for Maguire, by the way. Absolutely love him to pieces. Still do. I was a massive fan of Maguire. But I can tell you, it was very, very satisfying. The good 2 or 3 times where Dan Neil turned him like there's no tomorrow and left Maguire flat on his arse. That was definitely very, very satisfying. But the impressive thing with Dan Neil for me, he's probably one of the only players within this squad that I can very, very comfortably say that he's unquestionably above League One level. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some players in our squad that you might think, yeah, he could maybe do a job in the Championship, but with Dan Neil, for me, there isn't a question. There is absolutely not a question that this man should not be playing at League One level. So that's why we either need to stick him on a long-term deal and quadruple his wages, or we absolutely have to go up this year. Otherwise, I fear that we're going to lose him, because he took the piss. He stood out like a sore thumb last night, Dan Neil. He dominated that midfield. It is his way of, you know, there was times where he'd pick it up, facing his own goal, you know, sort of midway into our own half. But he's facing our own goal. He's got 2 Lincoln men either side of it, and somehow it's sort of wriggling between him and go forward passing. He'd just turn and break, and he was doing it time and time again. He made it look so easy. His touch and his ball control, his technical ability to just drift past players and just glide across the pitch is absolutely second to none. And this video is going to slowly become just a Dan Neil admiration video, but I cannot speak highly enough of the lad. You know, how he's not getting in the side, or how he hasn't got in the side over at Luke O'Nien and Evans, for me, in recent weeks, or over the last couple of games, is criminal, as I've said, because he's so good. He is so goddamn good. And I know you need to monitor him. He's only a young lad. You don't want to, risk burnout early doors, but you just can't not play him. He's so good. You know, it is in a team full of youngsters and fringe players. He stuck out like a sore thumb, and he carried us at times. Like I say, you know, he'd track him back, tenacious. Getting in front of the ball. Then going forward, it's constantly looking up for the link-up pass, just a quick 1-2, and he's driving forward. Every time he gets it, it's never the sort of just play it backwards. It's always, I want this team to go forward. And that's what I love about Dhannoo. He's so positive, and he dominated, like I say. But after the goal, sorry, I just did a whole review on Dhannoo there. But after the first goal for us, of course, Dhannoo did score. For sort of like 15 minutes or so, I feel like we controlled it, made a few half chances here and there. Harris was being busy on one side, or up top, should I say. But then, as expected, Lincoln did start to really control the game. Chris Maguire, he got to the point where the sort of like final 10 minutes of the first half, it was the sort of Chris Maguire show where I think they were getting set piece after set piece and corner after corner, and it ended up with Chris Maguire on the edge of the box, and he tested Berger 2 or 3 times in the space of, I think it was like 90 seconds, and a couple of them were actually class saves to Burge's credit. He didn't put a foot wrong, Burge. I think he did very well, commanded his area well, punched when he needed to. And a couple of saves from Maguire from distance were absolutely class, as I say. So half-time, 1-0. Brilliant performance by the youngsters. I think Sona as well, or Sona, however you want to say it again, in the middle next to Dhannoo. I think he needs to be given a lot of credit as well. Some very nice touches. He looked very good on the ball. Generally the easy pass, don't get me wrong, but he never shied away from a challenge. And he just kept it ticking in the middle. He was very mature in that sense, which I did like to see. And then second half comes around, very end-to-end game. It was a good game. It was a good game. In my preview, I thought that maybe the pitch would have been a bit shit again, like it was against Pompey. And then, of course, it would have been a mixed bag of plays for each side. So I just thought it's just, it's going to be a shit game in general. But it wasn't. It was a really, really good game of football, and the surface were really nice for both sides to play some good, elegant football. It was nice to see. But it was a very even game. They made chances, we made chances, but then eventually we did get the second. I think it's Warren. I'm not too sure how the hell you say it, Wayne. I have no idea. But Dhannoo again on the left-hand side is controlling it. Nice little build-up play. Comes to Dhannoo, tries to just pop it off in behind. Their keeper's come out for it. He's made a mess of it. He's kind of tried to punch it, and it's kind of gone behind him. And then Warren, I'll just say Warren for the sake of it, he's bundled it over the line. Probably not the most ideal or perfect or dream goal that he pictured when he was thinking about his first ever goal for the club, because he was sort of like half a yard out and he just threw his body at it. He's put himself in the line, but sometimes that happens, and I'm buzzing for the lad. It's always good to see a youth player come through and get themselves a goal, or even just a start or an appearance for the club. But it's a very proud moment for him. So for him to come on and score a goal, absolutely buzzing for him. 2-0, and it was deserved. That's the thing. It was absolutely deserved. Don't get me wrong. Like I say, at the back end of the first half, Chris Maguire was on a solo mission to try and ruin us, but in the second we were very, very competitive again, and I think we deserved it. We managed to sort of see it out towards the last stage of the game, but then their centre back at Monsma, I think I pronounced it terribly, he struck a hit from long range. It's hard and low across a very wet surface, which Burge maybe you could argue he could do better, because it wasn't really travelling at too much pace, but he's kind of dragged it into the bottom right hand corner from distance. Luckily we see it out 2-1. But yes, all I can say is very, very proud of the lads, because like I say, it was mainly youngsters out there, and I think they were brilliant for large parts. They're absolutely brilliant. Hume as well. I think going forward, I don't know whether it's something that maybe Lee Johnson has tried to sort of teach him, because they're a little bit like Sirkin. Like you'll see that he's very sort of mature and calculated as to when he should go forward on that left-hand side from the left back position. You might be times where you see space in front of him, you think run into it, but he's obviously more dedicated to the defensive side of the game. But when he goes forward, he's brilliant, Sirkin, as I say. What I'm saying is he's not just really raw and just throwing himself forward, and just leaving us open at the back constantly, because that isn't Sirkin's game. But I felt like Hume was doing that quite a bit. Even when there was space to go forward, maybe he was just kind of judging, trying to calculate it a bit more. He wasn't just flinging himself up to left wing and leaving us at the back open, which I thought was good. I think he looked like he bulked out a little bit, Hume, if I'm being honest. Physically, he looked decent. Maybe a little bit off it at times, but I think he looked all right. I think if you had someone like a McGeady up top, then you might see the overlapping runs. But Haydn O'Brien was playing on the left-hand side, and he likes to come inside. So a lot of the time when Hume did have it on the left, he'd have no one in front of him, because Haydn O'Brien had drifted into the middle. So he didn't really have that opportunity to break forward as much as we usually see Hume get down to the byline, and that never really happened. But defensively, which is the main key point of a defender anyway, regardless of whether you're a left back or a centre back or a right back, whatever, he looked really decent. So I'm happy for him. I'm pleased to see Hume back on the pitch. Now, as I say, and I did say this again on Twitter, if you don't follow me on Twitter, by the way, it's at Joel_Gradwell, because that's my name. But, because I often refer to my Twitter in reviews and previews and stuff, because sometimes you guys have to comment and take the mick out of me for certain things, or argue with me, either way. But but yeah, I was saying as well on Twitter after the game, or just before the game finished, I was saying as much or as positive as this game has been, which it was, of course, there's hundreds of positives. I don't like to just say everything's perfect. So there was a negative, and the one negative I could really pull out was Pritchard. And for me, he was absolutely dire. He was absolutely shocking. Again, as I said on Twitter, he was shocking. Every pass. I genuinely cannot, and it got to the point because I noticed it so much that I generally started to count. I don't believe that he made one forward pass or complete one forward pass throughout the game. I genuinely cannot remember that happening. There was some times where he'd hold onto the ball really slow, really lethargic. He'd come deep for it, he'd just play it back to the defender and run back off again. But he kept on trying to do the sort of give and go pass. If it's put into him, he'd try and flick it around to someone else. But every single time he'd attempt to do that, it went either directly to a Lincoln player or out. It went out of play every single time. And every forward pass he tried to make, it was going out of play or straight to a Lincoln player in general. He had 3 opportunities, had 2 free kicks. One of them was a half-decent position, which went way over the bar. Another one, he had a free kick. He was literally 40 yards out. He had a decent opportunity to pop the ball in the box or in behind. It's gone for goal again, and it's disturbed air traffic. Do you know what I mean? It's hit Ryanair up there. Madness. Why it's gone for goal from there. He took a shot from range as well. I don't mind place shooting, do you know what I mean? But when there's blatantly better options on, then pass the frigging ball, do you know what I mean? And again, it went way over the bar. I think it may have left the ground again. So for me, he just doesn't look very good at the moment, which is very frustrating because the thing is, Pritchard, we know that the quality is in there somewhere. And what I really was excited for when we did sign him is not only because we know he does have some quality in there somewhere, is because the competition between him and Embleton should be, on paper, really, really tight, really close and brilliant. But for me, even when Embo's not having a fantastic game, he still kind of shows why he's in there. Whereas Pritchard at the minute, I'm seeing very, very little. Very, very little. So I think he needs to improve. Otherwise, Embleton's going to have his place tied down regardless of the competition, because Pritchard, he is looking really poor, and he isn't looking like the exciting signing that I thought he should be, because, maybe he still needs match sharpness, but surely not anymore. He's had game time, he's had plenty of time to recover from injury and what have you. And I'm not saying he's a shit signing or necessarily a shit player, do you know what I mean? That definitely isn't what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I'm not really seeing that spark that I expected from him, and I probably only took this long to notice because other players had, played so well, so it kind of covers up other players' mistakes or bad performances, should I say. So hopefully we see a bit better from him, because last night as an individual performance, I think he was very, very poor and quite considerably the worst player out there for our team anyway. But other than that, I don't want to end on a negative, because it was a very, very positive game. So many players out there really didn't do themselves any harm. I think Alves looked nice and assured at the back. Younger, there's a couple of times where, their striker, I can't remember pronounce the name, or the winger, is it Adelakun or Adelakun? I can't say it for the life of me. The quick lad anyway, he's coming up against Younger, and Younger was just blocking everything he was trying to put in the box. So he did really well, Younger. Richardson, he looked okay on the right hand side. A few times he was done over by the diagonal ball, but that'll come with time, I'm sure. Taylor, at times he caused problems. Harris, he managed to get one-on-one with the keeper at one point, and he was always stretching, he was always kind of running away from him, but you kind of expect him to kind of dink it over to the left of the keeper, but he's gone to the side that the keeper was already visibly diving, and made it a bit easy for the keeper, for me. But he did look very busy, and he looks like he has a decent future for the club. And of course, Sonner was absolutely class, and obviously Dhannoo, absolutely my man of the match. I think whenever he's on the pitch, he always is man of the match. He's so frigging good. But yeah, 2-1, a really, really positive display, and the youngsters did a brilliant job, and it definitely gives Lee Johnson a headache. It's good to get back to winning ways, even if it is in the Papa John's, because now the youngsters are saying, we've just played almost a full-strength squad, a full-strength League One squad in Lincoln, and they're not a bad squad at all, and we've beat him, and we've done it with mainly our youngsters. So he's got food for thought now, Lee Johnson, for the next game, the next league game anyway. But of course, our next game is actually next week, next midweek against Man United under 21s. So we'll probably see a relatively similar side You would think anyway, unless he wants to put a few more first teamers in there just to give him some game time before the following weekend, because of course this weekend we don't have a game. He might just want to go all out. Maybe he just wants to put a first team out there and we can just get a massive result against the United kids. We'll see anyway. We'll have to see. But you guys let me know, what did you think of the game? Let me know in the comments. And who was your man of the match as well? Again, let me know in the comments. So if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care. Stay jump.